Have you checked the children? You're a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Greetings, Fright fans! I'm Fuego here, and bienvenidos. Welcome to the horror show, and another patron review exclusive to those who are so rad status in their support and dedication of us. This is from Heather Smith. Just wanted to make sure that I was getting the name proper. And this is a 2021 release, so it's less than a year removed, and this is one that I recall hearing about at one particular point, but it kind of fell by the wayside of the numerous VODs and everything, because this is not actually streaming anywhere as far as like a Shudder or, you know, HBO Max or Prime or anything like that. This is something that you would have to spend $4.99 to watch in HD with a VOD rental, which we did, and it is a time, yes, 6:45, specifically in the AM, and that is the film that I'm going to give some brief thoughts about here. And it's another Groundhog Day sort of situation. It's another episode of Supernatural where Dean just keeps waking up and reliving the same day. Or, for those who are a little bit more of the horror inclined, it's another Happy Death Day sort of thing. And so for that reason, I immediately, with overall thoughts, chalk it up as not really bringing a extensive amount of originality to this. But I think at this point, the whole time loop sort of story has become a genre in and of itself. And so maybe I'm, Heather, being a little bit harsher on it, at least from a premise standpoint, than is particularly fair. But it's really the fact that it didn't bring enough fresh and new until the third act. Okay, so I will definitely grant it that in the third act, when you start to peel back the layers and understand maybe why said situation is transpiring, that's where the film started to kind of distinguish itself a little bit. But yes, as always, you know, we give some positive and, you know, negative initial impressions, and then we segue into brief aspects of acting and story and effects and soundtrack and so on. So this is most definitely not, it's not the worst 2021 film that I have watched, but, you know, back to the originality aspect until the third act, when we start to uncover the relational dynamic and why this couple is on this vacation and why they're trying to smooth things over. And yet, I felt like there was a lot of deliberate convolution that was, I don't even know if it's necessarily left to interpretability, because there has to be a significant amount of clues to really get it into that sort of facet and that sort of sector where you can just kind of make up your own mind, like with A24's Men, the new Alex Garland, for instance. That gives you a lot of clues where you can kind of piece some things together and figure stuff out. This one, I feel like, especially in the back half, turns into just kind of an exercise in interesting, ambitious visuals, you know, but not really a lot of clear-cut, concrete storytelling. And so I did not like this one, Heather, unfortunately. And there were times within it where I was just like, oh, you're not trolling me, right? you're not, because we have had some of our patrons do that to us, where, you know, we just kind of scratch our heads and they're like, did you really like this, or did you just want to see us, you know, pick it apart, so to speak? But yeah, as far as storytelling goes, there's a couple. They are in New Jersey, and this was filmed in you know, various portions of the you know Jersey State and Asbury Park. I mean, there's lots of Kevin Smith connections, but beautiful locale. And there's this couple that is on this vacation, and there are hints, as I said just a moment ago, about the fact that they have been on the rocks at times, and so this is going to be a healing sort of exodus and sabbatical for the both of them. And so they're at this bed and breakfast, and it's beautiful. All of the buildings in this seaside town that they're in are just gorgeous, and it's an island, actually, just off New Jersey, and so or part of New Jersey, I would assume. And our lead character had vacation there as a kid, and he has some just very vague memories of how much fun that he used to have. But really, aside from that, it is a new experience of rediscovery for him. And yeah, they wake up after their first night, and they are just very rudely awakened by the very strange fella who owns this place, and wakes them up, and because there's an alarm that rings at 6:45, hence the title of it. And he's like, yeah, I don't want your breakfast getting cold. Come out and eat. And so they come out and they eat, and then they go and they explore the city, or the town, I should say, and it's derpy. It's really derpy scenes, and where they're like, they go to, that's kind of an antiques kind of store, or kind of like a, I don't know, like thrifty consignment sort of place, and there's a goofy scene where they're just like trying on all these sunglasses and making movie references about, oh, this is Top Gun, and this is, 16 candles. I don't know. There's, it's not good. It's not as just heartwarmingly funny or endearing or quirky that the execution, I would imagine, was going for. So that didn't really work. And then later on, they get to a bar and they're sitting there to eat some food, and you do get your first hint about the fact that our main guy in this has maybe experienced some issues with alcohol, previously. And so they're eating like burgers and fries at this bar, and the dude's like, hey, can I get you guys some beers, whatever, the bartender. And he's like, no, just waters. And his girlfriend is just like, yep, that's right, honey, be strong. And then you've got this girl, Brooklyn, who starts hitting on his girlfriend and is like, how about you ditch the stick and get with the chick? Horrible acting. Like, I know she's trying to act drunk, but there's no worse issue, having been around my fair share of intoxicated people and, being there myself all too often. And, like, you can always tell when somebody's acting drunk as opposed to actually drunk. So it's a dumb scene. And that's where we get our first hint about the fact that there is kind of an evil, like, hooded presence that is following them. You see it initially in the bar, and then they get killed. Both of them. And it's a throat slash and then a neck snap. And, yeah, that's about as far as I can go in the first, 15-20 minutes of the film without spoiling stuff too much, because then he wakes up, and they wake up every morning at 6:45, and whereas she is not cognizant of it, he in turn is, and so it's just living the same day over and over and seeing how much he can alter things. But then the thing is, it starts to veer as we get later into the proceedings into like a scene where dude is talking with one of his best friends who says, you're this kind of person, so I mean, are you capable of this sort of relationship? And then you start to get more clues about why they went there. So this is where I feel like the scripting, and more so the editing. The editing is ambitious in a lot of ways, because we do have instances where they're almost like, oh goodness, the Vanderbeek film, the Art of Something. No, I'm not gonna try to recall this particular early aughts film where it was lots of panels all being shown at a similar time. The Art of Sex, Art of Something. And anyway, so we get some of those where there's like multiple different windows of different things going at once. And I mean, from an editing standpoint, from a aspect of ambition, the film really shines to that degree. But is it all cohesive, or does it hinder the narrative? And does it make it seem a little, convoluted, a little just discombobulated? I really think it does, unfortunately. And I'm actually not here to knock the performances, because I felt like everybody was relatively solid. The dynamic between the couple, it's cute. It's very sex heavy, and that's all well and good, I guess. But when there's so much bangarang, and it almost feels unnecessary, and it's not like of a super smutty variety or anything, but it's just there's a lot of scenes where they're like, okay, we're in the towel room, we're in the bed. The movie starts with a love scene, so it just at the end of the day, I didn't feel like it was a very focused effort. I feel like it had a lot of intriguingly ambitious ideas, but they did not always correlate. And especially in the third act, where we kind of veer a little bit away from the cyclical sort of storytelling, and there's a lot of, I'm not going to say bait and switch, but there is most definitely a bit of like, trying to, pull the wool out from under your eyes, and there's a lot of, there's a little bait and switch, honestly. And also, there's a lot that is not completely confirmed, and I know some people enjoy that, some people do not. I feel like it's really dependent upon the script and the style, and most notably back to the editing. The editing, I feel like it was a showcase of potential talent, but did it serve the narrative and the, ultimate, just visual conclusion of everything? I would say no. And soundtrack too. I mean, we go from crazy bits with like heavier hard rock stuff to also bits where we've got some like synthier passages, and then also these like sultry, like making love sort of bits that for some of those scenes. So it didn't. Well, the word that I keep coming back to, Heather, unfortunately, is cohesion. This really felt like a lot of very solid ideas that just didn't all mesh and meld the way that I think that they could have. And so props in that regard. If you were trolling us, I commend you. If you really liked this film and you just disagree with my opinion, as I constantly contend, art is subjective. And yeah, that is my thoughts here for our patron, Heather Smith, on 6:45. That's right, 6:45 in the AM to be specific. And a grande gracias to her and to all of the patrons who could be checking this out. Some of these migrate over to the main channel, others just chill here exclusively. So if you would like to become a patron yourself, all the information is in the description box below. Like, share, subscribe, y'all know the drill. Make sure you have the bell hit so that all of our main videos on the YouTube channel are going to be showing up in your notification feed. So greatly appreciated, everyone. And I've been Fuego, y'all have been Rad Status. And until next time, Fright fans, remember, stay scared.